Hello and welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers Live. Today, I am sitting with a global luminary who has been really credited with founding of the SME Finance Forum, which has really contributed a great way to the growth of SMEs in the world. This interesting luminary has not only spent 40 plus years of his career in the financial services space, but he has also held the helm of affairs as a chief operating officer of IFC, and he has also been the founder and CEO of the SME Finance Forum. Not at all to just leave behind a career and retirement, but post his retirement, he has been more active by really helping out a lot of SMEs as well as the technology companies which are really bringing in innovative technologies, path-breaking technologies into the SME sector. Friends, please join me in welcoming my fellow ambassador at the Singapore FinTech Festival, Mr. Matt Gamser, who is the former Chief Operating Officer of IFC and the CEO or former CEO of SME Forum. Matt, welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers Live.
Thanks, Babu. It's very, very good to be here.
Great, Matt. You have been a fellow ambassador at Singapore FinTech Festival. Let me start a conversation with you on the FinTech Festival. How were you associated with the Singapore FinTech Festival? What made you get into it? And how did you see it, really taking up the issues of the industry and helping the sector to grow to the next level?
It's a very interesting story, actually, which predates the FinTech Festival's existence because the SME Finance Forum was started before the Singapore FinTech Festival, and our goal was to help advance SME financing, not through the financing itself and advisory services that were the classic things that we were doing at IFC at the time, but through getting the people doing SME finance in institutions from around the world together and helping them learn from each other to link to new business and partnerships arrangements, and also to help lead the industry voice in public-private dialogue. And so one of the things we used to do to promote that was we convened a series of meetings, both global and regional, and we happened to have a regional meeting in Kenya for Africa. It was, I guess, 2018. And one of my IFC colleagues who was still based in Asia, where I had been before I was called back to Washington to start the SME Finance Forum, invited a very interesting gentleman named Sapnandu Mohanty, who I think most people associated with the Singapore FinTech Festival know. Sapnandu was just the Chief Technology Officer of the Monetary Authority of Singapore at the time. And our Africa meeting turned into a quasi-global meeting because people came from about 40, 50 countries. And everyone was really excited about discussing all the work that was ongoing about cell phone-based innovations and what they meant for financial inclusion and SME finance at the time. And I think Sapnandu must have really enjoyed being a part of that meeting, because next thing I know, the Monetary Authority is launching the FinTech Festival. It's launching the Afro-Asia FinTech Festival. It's setting up exchanges with people around the world. And so he did me the courtesy of inviting me to his meeting, since I had invited him to my meeting. And so I've basically been a fairly regular participant in the FinTech Festival since that time. Now, of course, I want to be very clear that we focused on SME financing as the sole thing that we were focusing on in the SME Finance Forum. The FinTech Festival has the wonderful advantage that it's focusing on everything that's going on in FinTech, from soup to nuts, and bringing the very best and the brightest from around the world to meet with each other and talk to each other. And so it's always a very exciting place to be. And I've been pleased that small business financing has always been a part of the FinTech Festival, although I would like to see it, and I am hoping to see it, be more and more a part of the festival in the years to come.
Superb. Any interesting networking you have had during the Singapore FinTech Festival? How do you see the overall setup of it from a perspective of a global leader in SME finance, as a technology advisor to a lot of technology or advisor to a lot of technology companies in that space, how they can actually benefit from this?
Well, because I mean, a lot of people go to the Singapore FinTech Festival, so you have to. I want to give advice to people that come that you have to approach it with focus and plans. But for somebody like me, because people come at such a high level from so many different countries who are representing some of the most innovative institutions in the world, I've always been able to sort of find new relationships with people and with countries that maybe I didn't have relationships before. And not just with fintech innovators, also with regulators and policymakers of various sorts. So I think we've picked up many SME Finance Forum members through my attending the Singapore FinTech Festival. And certainly we picked up many ideas. You know, we've many subsequent panels, webinars, one-on-one interviews, and other knowledge exchange has come from things that I saw through being at the FinTech Festival. It's an unparalleled event, I think, in the FinTech world today, because of the breadth and the high level of the people that come.
Superb. And I think leaders like you also make a lot of difference because you bring in a global perspective, you bring in a focused perspective as well from the SME side of it. And similarly, are the other leaders, whoever are coming into this festival from each of these segments, be it regulatory, be it SMEs, risk management, compliance, or digital currencies, or whatever it is. So there is a specialization for everything. And I have seen things like ESG taking a lot of center stage in the recent past. I have seen the Monetary Authority of Singapore taking in a lot of interest in making it very, very crystal focused to make policymakers to come together and craft the policies of the future, or at least creating an ecosystem to craft the policies of the future. Did you happen to meet a lot of policymakers also during your conversations at Singapore FinTech?
Oh, yes. I mean, I always have a chance to meet. Look, I had the good fortune. I worked for IFC. I worked around the world, so I also got a chance to reconnect with many policymakers that we'd worked with on reforms in the financial ecosystem in general. But always had a chance to meet new people from new countries. And I want to give a particular shout out to the Monetary Authority. In the very beginning, the FinTech Festival, it obviously had a lot of really talented people from Southeast Asia because of the location. And it had people from some of the rich northern countries, if you will, who also came. But in subsequent years, we've seen more and more people from, Africa, from Latin America, from the Middle East. And, quite frankly, to me, most of the most exciting innovation from the standpoint of financial inclusion and SME is happening in those markets today. I wish that there was more happening in rich countries, but to be honest, SMEs, relatively speaking, have more options there. They still don't get anywhere near the services they should, but they get no service in these other markets, and they're even more vital to the economies in those markets. So it's been great to see all the innovators coming forward. And I do think we're starting to see people realizing everywhere in the world, rich and poor, that SMEs haven't been well served, and that finding good ways, if you have people that are finding good ways to serve them, these can be very profitable businesses. Whereas before, no matter what people said in public about whether they were policymakers or bankers or whatever, they would all say how much they loved SMEs. In private, they were like, "Oh, SMEs, they're risky. We want to kind of limit what we do with them." Well, that I think people are coming away from that sort of old school attitude nowadays, and the ones that are doing that are showing that they can make really good business. It's not about charity. It's not about social responsibility. It's not about, yeah, it is about impact, but it's not about impact for the sake of corporate social responsibility ticking the box, right? It's about impact for really helping economies and doing good business in doing that.
Super. Thank you very much. And we look forward to see you more and more in the Singapore FinTech Festival. Though this year, probably you are not making it personally there. But yes, we want to see you more and more there at the festival because you add a lot of interesting perspectives from the SME side.